welcome back. This is the last in our 5-part series. We are going to be discussing passion and maybe a little bit of rapture. I don't know how much we'll be able to get on that one. But, and also just the interest in paranormal literature and young adult literature right now in general, which is huge. Very, very popular these days. So I saw from your blog that you were working on passion, hard at work.
Yes.
So what can you, and you did tell us a little bit about it in one of the earlier videos, but can you tell us just a little bit more?
Sure. It's I think for readers who have tons of questions and are enjoying the series but can't believe I left them hanging the way I did at the end of Torment, Passion is really your book. It's everything is going to be laid out on the table. You'll see Luce and Daniel through time in 10, 20 different lifetimes, starting at the beginning with right now and working all the way back to, I think the last chapter I wrote was like 3500 BC. So we're covering a lot of history and a lot of world history, and also mainly a lot of history between these two. So you kind of see the genesis of their relationship, how they got to be the way that they are, why Daniel is so protective of her, and a lot about who Luce really is. So I think at the time I wasn't sure about the title Passion, but now that I've written it and really can see where it's going, it's definitely the most romantic of the books.
Is it almost finished?
I've got the first draft finished, so that's really the big long haul for me. That's the hard part, and there's a big revision I'll be doing in the next probably month. And
some bashing.
Lots of bashing, yeah. The book will be bashed, and I add a lot, I flesh out a lot, I raise up high points and kind of make pitfalls much deeper and more devastating, and so all that will happen, and then probably another month of revision and whip the book in shape. So
now in Passion, you probably know more about Luce and Daniel than you did in the beginning. Is that true?
Definitely.
Do you feel like how has their development as characters, how has it surprised you at all?
I've been pleasantly surprised, I think, by the depth of each of them, and also the selflessness. First of Daniel, because it comes out in Passion so much of what he has done and the ways in which he's loved her and what he's given up and what he's, a big part of this history is that she's reincarnated. She dies she lives 17 years and then she dies. Something about her love with Daniel kills her every single time. And so each of their lifetimes together is very different. Sometimes they have a grand sweeping love story for years, and sometimes they meet once and it kills her. So there's a lot of variation in the lives, and I wasn't quite expecting that. Also, all the other characters from Fallen and Torment come back. We'll see Cam pop up, we'll see Arian, we'll see Miles and Shelby from Torment will be around, and so it was fun to bring them in now and again and see how they interact and sort of spice things up.
Had you started by writing Passion or sort of conceiving of it? Do you think that the series might have taken a different direction?
I've never thought about that before. I mean, the first thing I ever wrote for the series was the prologue of Fallen, which is set in Helston, England in 1854, and I go back to that in Passion. There's a couple of chapters where they're back at that lifetime and we get to see exactly what happened. But no, I mean, I always knew that it needed to begin in the present day because maybe we'll get into this with the questions about paranormal literature, but what's so appealing to me about this story is that it's immediate, it's contemporary, it's really relatable, and Luce is just like any other teenager out there today. So I wanted to begin with a very familiar place and then work backwards and uncover all this history and bring it all up to the surface.
So let's switch gears for a moment. As you said, we're going to be talking about paranormal literature in general and just sort of how it's blown up in the last couple of years and sort of taken everybody by storm. Why do you think that there's this huge interest in those sort of storylines?
The reason it's so appealing to me is because there's an element of something very exotic. In this case, we're dealing with angels, and so they're just far enough removed from our world that we understand them. We can imagine what an angel looks like. We've read about them in whether it's the Bible or a Hallmark card or whatever. Everybody has sort of a projection of what an angel is, what it represents, what it's supposed to, how it functions in the world, and yet there's so much mystery around it. So it's really fun to get to kind of invent new rules and play around with something that's exotic. And I think that's on one hand. And on the other hand, there's this very, very real and imperfect teenager who's, I think, very, very relatable to me when I think about my teenage years. And I think drawing those two things together, instantly relatable and sort of maybe aspirational. I think that's where paranormal books, especially for teens, hit the jackpot, because they can bring you to so many different places.
I think that makes definitely a lot of sense. Now, your books in particular are an international success. They have, they're number one in the UK and Australia, with Spain and Germany soon to follow. So, why do you feel like it was your books in particular that sort of made these ripples?
I really don't know the answer to that. All I can say is, I guess, my experience with that. I'll give you the answer. It's the covers. They're awesome.
Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. They are really beautiful covers.
I think what the covers do is evoke an entire world. And it's the world that I'm working, it takes me 400 pages to evoke that world, but the covers show something so instantly, and I think they really match up with what the book represents to me. I don't know. For me, what's so compelling about the story is that Luce is growing so much. When I first started writing, a favorite character of mine is Lyra from The Golden Compass, and that's the narrator I always wanted to write. She's plucky, she's smart, she's funny, she's really, really brave from the get-go. And I thought, someday I'll write a book like that. And I thought maybe Luce could be like that, and she really just isn't. She plods along, she makes a ton of mistakes, she agonizes over things, she does the things that all of us do, I think. And she was hard for me to write in that sense, but hopefully I think some of that struggle and that openness has led to her being really relatable. So what's cool about the series for me is that she grows so much, and in the end she's going to be quite different than where she began. So hopefully readers will go on this same journey as they're reading the books.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you see for her?
What I can say is that writing Passion, I can see how understanding her history and her love will really, it'll be a treat for her, and one that will really grow. Not that she needs to grow up so quickly or anything, but I think it will bring her up to date on everything she's ever wanted to feel, everything she's ever wanted to do. She'll be much more in control of her own destiny, I think, after seeing what she's been through.
So I've heard a little bit about this title, Rapture. The only place I think I've heard about it from is Goodreads. So I don't know anything about it, and it's possible you can't tell us anything. But if you can tell us anything, what can it do?
Well, what I know is where these characters are going to end up, and it's kind of like when you're flying in an airplane and there's a little bit of clouds, but you can see mountaintops peeking out, and you can't see what's down beneath. So I know the way it's going to end, and I absolutely can't tell you that. But I still have a lot to figure out with what's going to be kind of the beginning of the book to the end of the book. Now that I've gotten Passion kind of figured out, I can see what will happen next. But it's definitely still a work in progress. But I can guarantee that there's going to be many, many big reveals.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, that concludes our part series. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for your great questions.
This was really wonderful. I was very much enjoying it.
Me too. Thank you.